Hello, class. This is Mr. Hart, and in this podcast, we want to learn about conversion factors. In class, we talked a lot about units and how we use them, what they're for, but we really need to know how we go between different types of units, especially since we live in the United States. A lot of the units we are common to, like feet and miles and those types of units, we don't use a whole lot in physics because they don't work so well for the math, and so we usually convert them into the SI system, which has a lot of metric units in it. And so we need to learn how to kind of switch between these different types of units so that we can learn how to express our answers properly and do the math properly with the right units. Okay, so we started out with a question, and we wanted to figure out how old a person is in seconds, or how old you are in seconds. So before we can do anything, we need to just know how old a person is in years. Okay, so let's say, a standard student's maybe 16 years old. Okay, they probably don't know how old they are in months or seconds or anything like that. So first we're going to have to take these years and convert it into days. Okay, so you may know that a year has 365 days. So let's write a conversion factor. Okay, is what's called. It's just a fraction that takes one unit to a different unit. Okay, so we know that in 365 days, okay, that's going to be the same as 1 year. Okay, and I just like to draw these lines. Okay, I usually make a little table so you can kind of separate it out. Okay, but we started with 16 years, and now we know that 365 days are in 1 year. Now notice, if this is a fraction, okay, then these years on top and these years on bottom are going to cancel out. So we can actually just cancel this out, okay, and now we're left with days. Okay, and so we can keep doing this process, We know how many days are in we know how many hours are in a day, we know how many minutes are in an hour, and so on and so forth. We can keep writing these factors, keep timesing them out, and then we can get our time in seconds, okay, our age in seconds. Okay, so the key is to write these conversion factors and can make this table with all the different factors in it. Okay, so I won't take the time to go through this whole process. It's a lot for this. How old you are in seconds. But let's just do some standard ones that you'll see in class. Alright, so in class you may see a problem where you have to convert something in millimeters back to meters. Okay, so we may need 251 millimeters in meters. Okay, so we just start out. I usually draw this table on my paper so I can kind of organize what's going on. And I'm going to say, okay, I start with 251 millimeters. Okay. Now what you have to do is I need a conversion factor from millimeters to meters. And if you look at your chart that I gave you, the unit reference sheet, it will say that a millimeter or 1,000 millimeters equals 1 meter. So we'll say 1,000 millimeters equals 1 meter. Now, again, we notice, hey, we got millimeters on top, millimeters on bottom. We're going to cancel those out, and we're left with meters. That's our answer. Okay, so now we have the right units. All we have to do is times across the top and divide by the things on the bottom. So we plug in our calculator, 251 times 1, okay, divided by 1,000. So if you do the math, 251 times 1 over 1,000 is going to give you 0.251 meters. Okay, and there's your answer. We've converted it into the correct units. Alright, now that one's pretty easy. It's just one conversion factor. Let's see what happens if we need a couple. Alright, in this problem we're trying to take inches to meters. Now if you look at your reference sheet, you'll notice there isn't a direct conversion factor from inches to meters. So we're going to have to do a couple. But we start with the same process. We start with 25 inches on this side. And now we need something as an intermediate from inches to meters, something we can kind of put in the middle to help us out. Well, we know inches to feet pretty simply, and we know feet to meters, so let's use feet. Okay, let's take inches to feet, and we know there's 12 inches in every foot. And again, we want to make sure the inches are on bottom so they'll cancel out. And now we need something that goes from feet to meters. And if you pull out your conversion factor sheet, you'll see that it says that 3.28 feet gives you 1 meter. So we write that down, 3.28 feet. Again, we want to make sure the feet's on the bottom so it will cancel out, and then that is equal to 1 meter. So we cancel that out, and now we have what we want. We have meters, that's the unit we're trying to get to, and so now all we do is we times across the top, 25 times 1 times 1, and divide by everything on the bottom. Divide by 12, divide by 3.28. Alright, and if you do the math on your calculator, you get that is equal to 0.635 meters. Okay? And again, that's what we want, so that is our answer. 25 inches is equal to 0.635 meters. Now that's a number we can work with in physics, okay? And we've got something that we can use. All right, let's do another example. So in this example, we're trying to convert 2 pounds to grams, okay? And again, if you look at your reference sheet, you'll notice there's not a conversion factor straight from pounds to grams, but we can do pounds to kilogram and then kilograms to grams. Okay, so let's start the same process. 2 pounds on this side, and if we look at our reference sheet, then you know that 2.2 pounds equals 1 kilogram. Again, keep pounds on the bottom so they cancel out. And if you look at the other side of your reference sheet, you'll notice that 1,000 grams equals 1 kilogram. Okay, and this is a good time to point out that even though the reference sheet always says meters, it works for any metric unit, grams, liters, anything like that. Okay, and again, kilograms are going to cancel out, and now we're in grams, that's what we want, and so now we just times by the top, 2 times 1 times 1,000, and divide by the bottom, 2.2 and 1. Okay, so you get your calculator out, and when you times that out, you get that 2 pounds is 909 grams. Okay? All right, let's do one more example. Okay, let's say we're trying to convert a unit, but the unit is squared, okay, or cubed, or has some power in it. Okay, we want to know how to work with those types of units, and it turns out the process is pretty much the same thing, but you got an extra step that you need to do. Okay, so we start with 35, still on the left side, but I'm going to rewrite this centimeter squared as centimeters times centimeters. Okay. And notice that I write it out specifically like this because I know I'm going to cancel it out later. Okay, so instead of worrying about the conversion factor from centimeters squared to meters squared, let's just worry about the conversion factor from centimeters to meters. And if you look at your reference sheet, you'll see that a centimeter, or 100 centimeters, makes 1 meter. So we'll keep centimeters on the bottom. 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. Okay, now centimeters are going to cancel out, but only one of these centimeters is going to cancel out. Okay, that means I have to do this process again in order to cancel out the other one. So now I'm going to say again that 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. And now the centimeters cancel out. Notice what you're left with. You got a meter times a meter. That's going to give you a meter squared. That's what we're wanting in the answer. So a meter times a meter is a meter squared, so we just times it out. 35 times 1 divided by 100 divided by 100. Okay, and if you put that in your calculator, I believe you get 0.0035. Okay, so anytime you see those square units, just make sure that you cancel twice. If you have a cubed meter or a cubed unit, you cancel 3 times. Okay, so you just got to be careful and make sure that you do that in each step. Alright, so your homework for tonight is to do the same thing I was showing you, where you take some units to a different type of unit using those conversion factor tables. Again, make sure that you please use the tables. I know some of these units are easy to figure out in your head sometimes, like millimeters to meters. Some students just know intuitively how to do those, but please practice using the tables, because later on in physics, and especially in things like chemistry, you're going to want to make sure you understand how these conversion factors work. And so please do that on your homework. But other than that, let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for watching.